Afternoon, everybody. This is Miss J and Finn here for you on another Tuesday afternoon with a simple project to do. Last week we made some salt dough, which was really fun. I showed you how to do cookie cutters, and after I turned the camera off, I went a little crazy and started doing some imprints of seashells. I even got this little guy and his brother involved in some little paw print imprints, which came out super cute. A little hard to see on camera, the color, but really sweet little keepsakes for them. So today we're actually going to use some recycled materials to upcycle and create little birds. We're only going to need a few things. The materials we're going to need are a cereal box, some newspaper with a little bit of color and some text, a writing utensil, some white glue, a pair of scissors, and 2 little twigs. Tiny might want to join us for the project today. These are his paws. Okay, so we're going to get started with using the cardboard. We're going to cut one of the larger sections right off of our cereal box. First thing we're going to do is grab a writing utensil and flip our cardboard from the colorful side to the blank side where we can only see the brownish gray color. This will help our image stand out and be easier for us to cut. You can freehand draw your bird. You can create a bird of your own design. If you want to make a specific type of bird, you can utilize technology or a book with animals. Take a white sheet of paper, put it over the image in the book or over the tablet that you've got. Trace the image, cut it out, and then trace it onto here so we have a sturdy bird structure. Other options include printing out an image online if you have a printer at home, cutting out the bird, and then tracing it directly onto the cardboard. I'm going to give it a go with freehand drawing it and see how it goes. If I don't like it, I've got plenty of other options. Now I'm going to draw on my bird. Okay, I think I'm satisfied with this. So now, when you have a bird that you like, or a bird that you sort of like, go ahead and cut it out. Grab your scissors. Now we've got a little bird in our hands. We've got one side that's a little colorful and one side that's brown. We can decorate both sides. We're going to start with one at a time. We're going to set our little bird aside and grab some of our newspaper. So I've sifted through and I found some colorful newspaper way in the bottom of my newspaper barrel of, some Halloween looking candy. I know I got this pretty blue. It's some type of tire ad. I like to use the fruits and veggies, and this looks like a steak or something on there. I know the food section usually has a lot of bright colors, so I'll cut up some strips of that. So we're basically going to start with a sheet of newspaper or magazine or anything like that and just cut it into strips. Try to look at your bird and see how the strip looks against it. See, this is a little bit on the bigger side, but it'll work pretty well. You wouldn't want a piece that's too big that covers it up because we want to do it in thin strips. So something like this would work just fine. As you can see, it's not anything, done straight or with a ruler. We're just going to go ahead and tear it up with our scissors in our hands until we get a good pile. So we're going to set this pile aside and make sure that our bird is in front of us. We're going to grab our white glue, and what we're going to do is we're going to apply the glue directly to the bird. I'm going to do one side at a time. You might have to wait a little bit between sides. I'm going to start on this end of the bird and work my way all the way to the beak. I'm going to start by applying some glue, just a little bit, and smoothing it out with my finger right across the tail feathers. I'm going to start with that part. You can use a paintbrush if you have one. I'm just going to use my finger and dab the excess off of my hand onto the newspaper that's next to me to be discarded at the end. We're going to grab some newspaper. I see this pretty blue color. There's some oranges mixed in there. And I'm going to try to rip them off so they're a little bit smaller. When I've got a piece like this, I'm actually going to trim it just a little bit so it's a little thinner. We want it to be thinner toward this end because, as you can see, this is the tail feather area. It is a little thinner. As we move to the body, thicker strips like this will be more appropriate. But at the tail, we want to make them a little bit smaller. So we've got our scissors handy to make those adjustments. I'm just going to start at the very edge and lay the newspaper right over the tip so it looks just like this. If you flip it over, you can kind of see that it's hanging off on either end. That's exactly the way we want it. So I'm just going to lay the bird back down with the glue facing up and continue to add these little strips in. Now we've got something that looks like this. You can start to see that on the side you're working on, the tail is completely covered and no longer looks like a bird at all. When you flip it to this side, you can still see that the structure exists. At the end, we're going to trim off all this excess so we don't have to worry about the shape. We're just going to focus on covering the bird in these strips. I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of a larger strip and do the same thing, making sure that these pieces of newspaper hang right above the bird and below to make it really easy to cut and find the shape of the bird when we're finished. The only thing showing is our bird's little beak and a small portion of the head and neck. Let's flip it over to the other side and see how we're doing. You can still see the bird structure is completely intact, and we've got all these little frills hanging on the tops and the bottoms that we're going to cut off at the end. I'm going to choose a few more strips. I'm going to cut them very thin and go right over the beak. If you want a yellow or orange beak, something that resembles a beak in the wild, then you can go ahead and search around through your strips to see if you can find a color that you like and cut it real small and lay it right over the beak. I'll show you how. Okay, so your bird should be completely covered and really, I don't know what that looks like. Maybe a mermaid tail or something funny like that. You shouldn't be able to see your bird at all on this side. To check to make sure your bird is still there, flip it over to the back, and you can see that from this end and this end we have the smaller pieces. Have a little straggler. You can see the smaller pieces on this side and the really tiny piece over on this side over the beak, which is the smallest portion of our bird. When your strips are completely dry, we are going to want to face this side so that our eyes can see it. When you have this side facing you, grab your scissors and start at one end. I'm going to start at the beak side, do all over the top, going all around like this. The wind's blowing my paper. I am going to cut from underneath the beak and all the way under the belly, all the way back to the tail feather. This is what we've got so far. I'm going to flip the bird over to the other side where I can see the cereal box, and I'm going to repeat the steps that I just did on this side, starting with the tail feathers, moving all the way up to the beak. Strips of paper that are small, that overlap, and hang from the top and the bottom. So our bird is looking fantastic. We can see the first side that we did is nice and dry. We've got the beak right here, the tail feathers on this side, and we're going to flip it over and see how wild it looks on this side, completely covered. We can see where the beak is going to be and where the tail feathers are going to be, but we want to make sure that this side completely dries just like the first side so that we can cut off the extra fringes. While this dries, we're actually going to make some feathers out of newspaper, just like we did with these little strips. We're actually going to cut out some newspaper. It's okay to use the words on this one rather than the colors. So we are going to make a few feathers for the wing and a few feathers for the tail feather portion. We're going to make sure that we cut out enough for this side and this side when it's ready. I'm going to let this set over here just to dry, and we're going to grab our writing utensil, our scissors, and some newspaper. We're going to start off by making some petal shapes. So I made about 8 petal shapes for our feathers. I made a few that are a little bit on the larger side, and then I made 4 that are a little on the smaller side. The small ones will be for the wings, and the larger ones will be for the tail feathers. So we're going to get these cut out, and we're going to lay them down and do the next step. So I'm actually going to start off by taking one of these, laying it down, and drawing a center line. This will be a guide for us. Now that we've got our center line in, we want to hold the very tip and grab our scissors, and we're just going to go right up to the line, but not over it with our scissors. And just cut little slits in so that it has that feathery appearance. Very carefully do the other side. Okay, now we've got our first feather. You're going to repeat this step to all of our little pieces that we have around here, and we'll be able to attach them to the bird afterward. The very next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut off all the extra fringes that are hanging down. We're going to use the side that we can see the bird as the guide. Which side we're going to start with, we want to make sure that we have our feathers separated into pairs. So on the bottom closest to me, I have 2 pairs of small feathers that we are going to use right here, and 2 pairs of larger feathers that we're going to set back here. These, both large and small, will be used on this side, and then we'll flip the bird over and use these pairs on this side. So for this part, we're going to grab our glue. We're going to do something similar to what we did the first time around, where we're going to add the glue on directly to the bird, smooth it with our finger, and then add our feathers on. So our wing feathers are actually going to go somewhere in the center of the body, right where I'm pointing. So I'm going to add a little glue there, just a tiny line of glue. Then I'm going to go ahead and smooth it with my finger just a little bit. We're going to start with our wing feathers. I'm going to lay them down and press them right into the glue. Just like so. I'm going to go ahead and add a little glue to the tail feather as well. Smooth it out with my finger toward the back, not toward the bird, but away from it. Grab our next pair. This larger pair right here is going to go toward the back. Just going to lay it over, just like so. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more glue. And I'm going to add my last tail feather. Press it in a little bit. Okay. So now we've got our wings and our tail feathers. Now I'm going to grab my marker and make a little eye. Our glue, add 2 small dots to the bird, and lay on the twigs. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you try it. A couple helpful tips is to pre-cut a lot of your strips and feathers. Even pre-cut some of the birds if you're working with littler ones, just so that it turns into a cut and paste project. You don't have to worry about scissors or anything like that. It can just be something that you put together. You can go out and grab bigger twigs. You can do bigger pieces of paper and get giant birds going. A lot of really fun possibilities with this one. So I hope everybody's doing well, and I will see you guys next week. Stay home, stay safe, and stay tuned. Thanks, guys. Take care.